for myself and for the audience. What was it like? What was your first casting like? Do you remember it?
Mhm.
Was it a moment?
Yeah, I do. It was really, really scary. I remember it just being, I was never so nervous for something.
Mm.
But for whatever reason, this like tiny little like triple Scorpio, like Lake Tahoe girl, like when in spaces of nerves, something blooms, like I felt potentially also, you never know how like upbringing creates character or skill sets. But I think having a little bit of a, not tumultuous, but an unstable childhood, I felt like I was able to take nerves and turn them into like power sometimes, or just like I'm like, no, it's like I'm nervous because I care about this. Um it's so funny. The very first audition was for a student film, and I had answered this ad in a newspaper in Las Vegas when I was 10 years old for an acting seminar. And I made my mom, I was like, please, I just need $25. It was around my birthday. I'm like, that's my birthday money. And she took me, and it was like at this like rented church, and it was like giant, and it ended up being a complete scam.
Yeah.
But, and they like, you had to pay like $600 to take these like green classes, or whatever. I remember being like, I don't even know what this is. But, I was the only kid that asked a question at that first little, seminar I went to. And he's like, you could be working. And I was like, okay, great. Which is hilarious. So I think he waived the fees for me to do the green class. And then they set up they're like, there's an audition for a student film in Los Angeles, but you have to get there. You have to drive. You have to go and do it. And I was like, okay, and I think the very first time it was me and my mom, we drove 4 hours, whatever, to LA, did the audition quickly. And then as we were leaving, we got the call back. And so we had to go back because my mom was working. We drove back to LA. And then my uncle took me out for the call back because it was like a tag team, single parent operation. And I think the callback was with reading with moms because it was like this little kid. It was all about this little girl who saw like a girl's face on a milk carton that had been lost. And their parents were trying to find them. And she wanted nothing more in the world but to be that character because she thought those parents like loved that kid so much, And so I want to watch this movie actually. It's called Sunday's Child. I don't even know where it is, but she like kind of goes a little psycho, this little girl, and like knocks out her front tooth, finds the dress that the little girl's wearing on the mailbox, and like goes back to that corner and starts skipping rope. It's just like, it's so, it's literally like so intense. But in the audition, so I'm sorry, I'm getting off track. So I was reading with like 2 or 3 different moms, and I think potentially there was other girls there too. And it was with this casting director who I became really good friends with after. And it was like on Brea and something. There's like this old casting building there. I'll never forget it. And I go in, and I think they do the first one with the first mom, and I was come out and okay, I think I never knew how to be like I did a good job, and like my mom would just know, like. And then I came back and I did this other woman was there, and she slapped me in the audition. I mean, it potentially was in the realm of an accident, kind of getting carried away. It was a argument between a mother character and a daughter character. I mean, I'm like 10, okay? So like, like Ode's age. Like it's like I can't even imagine. And so in the thing, she slapped me. And this is like my second audition, right? Maybe third total my entire life, besides doing like community theater auditions where like everyone's on the stage. And I just remember being like, not even feeling, I don't know, like I was angry, but like it didn't hurt. And I was just like, I stopped the thing and I just looked over to the casting director, and I stopped the scene because I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, like I don't know what's going on. Anyways, there was like so much like, I'm so sorry. But like looking back, I was like, wow, that's a really weird way to end for like my first experience. I ended up getting the job and it was amazing. And really, she wasn't cast, obviously, this actress that slapped me. But yeah, I mean, from that story, I don't think that, if I was a kid, imagine me like, I want to do that. I want to do that again. I want to like get slapped by a stranger.
I love what you said, like pulling from your childhood, making it into power.
Mm,
I love how you said that, because it's so true. Because we all, have the things that we put for, right?
yeah.
But it's such an opportunity, even awful stuff, to really find it and make it into something special.
Mhm.
That's the goal. That is the goal of being a parent too. But it's like you can't control everything that happens in their lives.
Yeah.
So it's like when the things happen, us being there and showing up and being like, being there to push them forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And potentially it's really good. Like awareness, it's like experience exposure, like I do really think that having things not be perfect for kids, not in dangerous situations, but just like real life stuff that happens, I think is always kind of beneficial, as long as you not also have like repair mechanisms and communication and like, I really loved how I was raised, even though when I talk about it on paper, or explain it to friends, it's so wildly different from every single person that I've ever met, besides like the, five of us that were like in that specific thing, in Nevada at that time. But yeah, I really value it. It's so weird. And now it's like, but how do you give that to your child now? Because like I'm in a way different place, like I value stability more than I valued stability my entire life, as a parent. It's like I moved 30 times before I was 10, and maybe that did turn me into whoever I am today, and it's all beneficial. But like I do remember having wild dreams about just having the same house, the same, the grass is always greener, obviously, we have to have something to dream about, and it's never what's right in front of us, But I do that now where I'm like, maybe we should be moving around more. Maybe I should be doing some a little bit more like gentle disruptions to allow practice at gentle disruption for future disruptions.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
But it's so hard to do because then I feel like I'm being a little bit of a not a nihilist, but like a sadist or something where it's like I purposely want to create, hard situations. No, that's so weird.
Wow. I think a little bit is good though for all of us, but constantly, because then you don't forget it. You you don't want to go all of it.
Yeah, it's true.
I love the memories that you share in that casting. It sounds pretty nuts.
It was nuts.
Myself.
I was just pissed.
God. I do want to ask you because I've always wondered about doing a horror film.
Okay.
And what is that like? Is that, I know you're working in it, it's serious.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a time like to play?
Mm-hmm.
When I think back on like the film The Ruins,
Uh-huh.
I love that movie.
It's so good.
I love your role.
I know she's so bitchy. She's not.
Yeah, this horror flag, and it's like, it seems so wild. Like, is there a big difference from a horror film, to a romance, in that genre? Like, how playful does it get? You.
Yeah, it's such a great question because I feel like horror has such specific held notes, like there's less variety of tone in like a coming of age movie, where you're getting to like explore a lot of like mundane potential things into profound. Whereas horror, it's just a different painting where it's like you have red, you have white, you have black. And so it is potentially a challenge to hold those sustained and heightened notes. I found that groups of actors are like, film sets are like little microcosms of life, right? So like I behave differently at a public library than I would behave at like a private, old, ancient, like if it was like long tickets, lines out the back to go and see this medieval library that you could only spend 5 minutes in. So some film sets create such a fun environment that having to hold those notes and participate in joy and pranks and plays, it's really easy. But some film environments and ones I kind of had to create in certain ways because it's like I'm the one holding all the notes, where you're just like, I gotta like self-preservation. I have had to craft like more environments for myself of like quiet and different, like a little bit of like, we're creating something. Let's get into this. This is a little bit more serious, because it's just hard to hold those notes, and potentially I'm not like an opera singer, like I'm still a finger painter learning how to hold like operatic notes. And you need to make sure you're in a good space, you can't just like launch into that in the middle of a coffee break, but then some films you can, which is really interesting, but I do think that you can have fun no matter what. And I think sometimes when it's really serious and it's really intense and you're holding these spaces, the fun comes no matter what, you're something crazy is going to happen. You're going to burst out laughing. It's just, I find that the environment where it's too jokey, it's too fun. Film sets or crews that run away with themselves, where it's like, it becomes more about the experience of making the movie instead of the capturing of the movie you want to make. I kind of struggle with that sometimes. It's not my favorite. Like when sets are too jokey and like energetic and like too personable sometimes, and I know this is probably a hot take, I find it distracting, I kind of like a little reverence, and then let's go get crazy at the lunch, let's go and get like, let's all go to Crafty and fucking craft the jokes, but like not on set. I really do like a little bit more quiet and like, like duck down to get in, take your shoes off, like we're getting crazy intimate right now. It's like the jokey guy that comes into like a sex party where you're like, no, quiet down, like we're about to do something that's intense. I like that. But I'm also, it's such Scorpio vibe where I'm like, of course I want to like, but I don't know. I wish sometimes, I think the older I've gotten, the more playful I've been. But I think when I was younger, I was pretty serious. Like I took it really, really seriously.
I love that. I catch myself like that in my work where I want to get the job done and then we can like have fun.
Yeah, totally.
And like I really want to like, like show up prepared, ready for anything. Really, I think a lot of people now, they just kind of they're going in and they want to have a good time, but when you're there to create something, that the good time is when you get to see it after. Like that's it's like whoa,
Yeah. And also for me, seriousness is a good time.
Yeah.
Like I feel really fulfilled. Like when we come out and everyone's like, that was crazy. We're whispering and we're being, like I feel equally as transcended, if not more than just being like in between fart jokes and then going into a scene, like that's just not as sometimes fulfilling, but sometimes we need that, like, and, sometimes you're an ant and you're not even really having to lift the whole story. You're just literally a tiny dot in the frame. And then, yes, of course, that's all fuckery and, fun. But yeah, I'm a little too serious sometimes.
Love that.
I love these questions. This is so cute.
It's in his nose. I don't play it. He don't play it. Because there's so much. And is there anything that you would like to highlight that's recent? I don't know, that really like peaked for you, or is really like feeding you creatively, maybe spiritually. What is Jenna up to? How are you feeling in your creative space these days?
I mean, I love that question. I feel like I I would love to talk more about some of the lanes that we both share. Like I've loved watching your sobriety journey and um and just like knowing that I've been in spaces of sobriety as well, of like seeing what that feels like. And I don't know, I just feel like it really opened our friendship into this other way. So,
Thank you.
you know, so I don't know if you like want to talk about that stuff or what.
Yeah, thank you so much. It
Yeah.
means a lot. You're been in this journey with me,
Hmm.
and we've been able to share a lot of things about
Hmm.
that. And it helps me connect, and I know that I'm on the right path. It's a big year for me.
Hmm.
I'm a Scorpio as well.
Yeah.
We share that, and I do talk a lot about sobriety here and in your program, and I'm coming to this place of finding comfort and speaking about it in groups,
Right.
rather than being more of like the quiet guy in the back, or like, I don't really need to say anything. And I have this gift that's been given to me that I never thought I would have. And I can't sit quiet about it. You
Hmm.
know,
I love that.
I want really beautiful relationships. I want my creativity to go to a new place.
Hmm.
I want to be a better parent,
Hmm.
a better partner, and I can't do it if I'm not sober.
Yeah.
It's something for me, and I had to admit that to myself. You know, and I'm here to relate on that level with anyone who wants sobriety in their life.
Hmm.
If it like gets someone thinking. And I'm so excited for this journey of mine to continue.
Hmm.
And this relationship has been very very special to me, and I'm just thankful to have a friend like you, to support me along with so many people in my community.
Yeah.
And I know, there's a lot in you that you have that you're dealing with, as an artist, mother, creative, all the things, love, and I'm here for you too.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do value these friendships so much. And I feel like when why I brought it up is I feel like there's obviously a thousand things that don't get talked about. But what I love is sort of like the intersections, like how sobriety intersects with some of our everyday life things that we had kind of previously imagined as influenced by, alcohol, drugs, plants, coffee, scenarios. I think that even though I wouldn't say that because I was like sober for almost a whole year. And then I was like, okay. And then I'll have a drink. And, I had a really bad experience with an ex boyfriend that nearly died around alcohol. And I was just like, whoa, I don't ever want to drink that again. Mhm. And it was interesting in that first year of like, it was similar to how I felt after I gave birth, where like my creativity felt so low, kind of dim a little bit. And I just wondered if you had a similar experience, like within the first year of like stepping into being more cautious about what influences you put in your body, whether it be coffee, whether it be alcohol, whether it be marijuana, whether, you know what I mean? I feel like for me, when I started experimenting with, I don't want to drink, it was all of a sudden, I also don't want to do this. I also don't want to do this. It kind of gave me this empowerment to be like, I don't know. There's a lot of things in my life that I'd like to see what they're doing to my body and my mood and my purpose. But yeah, creativity was hard. I feel like that's been a thing I've relied on, of like, oh, I'm this like, I smoke cigarettes or I have a glass of wine and then I write poems. I was like, really? Do I? Mhm. But yeah, did you
Uh,
discover that?
I did. I mean, it's crazy that you pointed that out, because I felt like I was constantly questioning myself,
Mhm.
um, or deserving to be in the state that I was in. whether it was using, whether it was drinking, you know, my hard work or my parenting or my suffering in life, you know,
Yeah.
I'm allowed this, right? And for so many years, I felt misunderstood,
Mm.
you know, and I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I can have a low moment just like anybody else.
Hmm.
I have my spirituality to connect to, you know, I have the faith in what I'm doing is the right thing,
Hmm.
you know, and to have that, I was thinking about this earlier, like I think there's so many of us in life that we're always seeking some sort of freedom
Hmm.
or need freedom or may not feel like there's a lot of freedom. And this part of my life has given me an abundance
Mm.
of freedom of so many things that at my lowest points, even today, the freedom that sobriety has given me
Mm.
has given me the strength to just get back up
Right.
to push all of that to the side and know that I'm strong enough to get through anything.
Yeah.
And you know, thank you for asking that because
Yeah. I
it's
love
like,
that. It's really
you
beautiful.
know,
Yeah. And I think that why it's like, why do humans have to be reminded of that? But it's like, of course, it's the most basic thing, you know? We need that. We need those reminders that like we are, sacred and whole and free, without any outer or anything, But it's so hard. Where does cocoism come from?
So when we did the reality show, right, there was this, there's this whole point of, I just say things, sometimes I don't think about it, just like say things.
Yeah, amazing.
And we were talking about what we were gonna name it. And then he says, because I just didn't even think of this. There was other names that were working, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then the
I thought of Cocoism because in this house, in this relationship, and if you know Coco,
Mhm.
he says so many things that you happen to be the funniest person I know, right? And it's just like when we were doing the podcast, it's like, what are we gonna call it? And you're so funny. You say the most random one-liners.
Mhm.
You know, when we did the reality show, like you said, the best parts were Coco.
Mhm.
I have to say. And it just it's like Cocoisms, you know, there's a lot under that, right? It's like Cocoism, the funny person who says the most amazing things,
Mhm.
right? Whether you're with him in the chair, whether he's beautifying, whether he's parenting, whether he's being your best friend, like he just has the right words to say.
And like no bullshit.
No,
Like I feel like it's not just the words, but it's the delivery too, that I love where I'm just like, okay, go amazing. Like
I don't hear it. And it's a beautiful and the ism is it's about that and really what else is under that umbrella? Right?
right.
It's there's so many isms.
yeah.
We have
It would be I was wondering if you like developed a new one every show. Like potentially there's like an aha moment where you're like, oh, that's the ism.
Definitely. And I think that a ism too is all of us, right? We all have our isms and what they are. And I think that that's as much as this show is about, our lives and what we're going through, it's about our community and like all the like-minded people and the different experiences and stories and ways that we can all, like you said, like knowing your neighbor,
Yeah.
being one. Even if
Yeah.
you're far away from people, just knowing that there is people that like are there
Yeah.
and that you could talk to.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's this space, you know?
Yeah, which is amazing. How do you feel about your community right now?
I mean, I just am so grateful for it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful because it's just like it's growing and I've always really moved well there.
Hmm.
I've always been grateful for this town since I've been here this time because I felt like we got to move here in a way that we could really focus on having people around us, working with the people around us, all of that. That really let us be our most true selves, our most artistic version of ourselves.
Mhm.
Because before, not all the cities that I lived in before, I was such a machine when I came to work. You know,
Right.
it was to me, it was about numbers and all of this. And then here allowed me to tap into that
Yeah.
and made me realize, like, oh, like, this is who I want to be for the rest
Mhm.
today. Because that's all we have today.
Yeah.
And I think that that is what kind of made all of this kind of this space become available, because we've just LA's allowed us to be creative
Mhm.
and to focus on that and let it grow slow.
Right.
It's been a slow, steady.
It takes so long. How long have you guys lived here now?
almost 6 years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I remember when people were being here.
During the pandemic.
I know, the
Like,
worst. Yeah. But also, like, you entered it in a new way at the newest shifting time of Los Angeles. So it's like everything is new from here on now, you know? What do you find yourself craving from your community these days? What are things that you're like, where is that? I want that, you know?
Right.
That is a good
It's a question.
I think it's just
You're on the hot seat right now. I love it. I'm like, I love interviewing you guys.
I'm fascinated by the constant connection.
yeah.
I don't- and maybe I don't realize I'm craving that, but I am. And it's like we talked about, like, dorking out or something.
Mhm.
This is that for me. And I am happy to be here because it's surprising. Um, so it's like I'm like, what are we gonna do next? I don't know, like, what do I want? I mean, and if I run into someone at the beauty supply store, they're like, "My God, you're doing the podcast," and I'm like, "Wait, like, what?" Like, "Oh yeah," and I know they're listening,
That's so sweet.
and it's like I want so much and so little at the same time
Right.
because I just want this.
So you're craving more connection.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I think potentially, and just tell me if I'm wrong, the lifting and mounting of a project is so intellectual to such a degree. It's such an emotional labor that to have that in person, in proximity, in connection, it really, you need a good balance of the both, like to be able to have like physical, human connection and the emotional labor of just like lifting something of like scheduling and tech and editing. And, there's so much of that that's like not in proximity, it's kind of solitary,
It's fascinating, and this work relationship just keeps
Oh,
evolving.
I'm so excited. I am excited to see what's next. We get to do a photo shoot next. I'm so excited.
And
I've been wanting to do something more creative with you guys for a while. I feel like I always come to you and I'm like, okay, so it's got to be as natural as all hell. Nobody can see, and I want nothing done to it. You're like, okay. Or just because, like, I guess the things that I've been doing for character work has been more like natural hairstyles and stuff, and we haven't had as much fun. We did have a little fun on Halloween last year.
So-
That was really fun.
So, but
you're such you are a look queen. You've had so many looks.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try anything. Girl cuts,
Like that, to know that there's so much to be had.
Yeah. It is funny though, the older that I get, I realize that I'm noticing more inflexibility with trying new looks, whereas I think when I was younger, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go red. Yeah, I'll shave my head. Yeah, I'll do it. It's like I had less tied to what my identity was based on my looks. And that somehow now that I'm in an older space, I'm like really wanting to hold on to a little bit more of like, this is what I look like, And I'm having a harder time imagining a world outside of that, which is so weird for me because I've always been very like, I almost didn't even know what I looked like because I was always stepping into character spaces, or haircuts were never my own. Dyeing my hair was never my idea, or it was, but it was always in the name of a character, And that I think that, I don't know, since the pandemic, I feel like there's like the character that I've been in development for is myself, which is like, it sounds so selfish and strange, but I think on the like motherhood journey, I feel like you lose so much that it's almost like a gasp of oxygen to be able to rediscover yourself, you know, and rediscover who you are and lock it down and be like, yes to that. Like, my yeses are so important to me that and you guys are a big part of that, because I woke up one day and I was like, I miss having long hair. I remember that's the hair that the last style of hair that I had nothing to do with character, you know, that I just loved. It was just who I was. It was tiny Jena. It was just like, that was my identity. And I was like, I really identify with that, Jena, you know, like everything else has always just been translation, you know? And so thank you for helping me on my hair growth journey and like bringing that bitch back, you know? So
She's on her.
yeah, she's
How fun.
this has been so fun. I love it. I love it. We could just go for hours. Turn this into like a day spa. We should go and do it at We Spa, and then you can set it up, and then we can like have the sweat conversation. We can have the ice conversation.
Love that.
Love it. We
Different outfits.
yes. We could also just do it with your heating. Like it's really cold, and then all of a sudden it starts getting really hot, and we're sweating, and we're just like, you know,
I love her.
that would be so fun.
Kettle up.
Thank you so much for having me on, you guys. I really appreciate it.
So welcome. I mean, what a moment.
Too many things.
Love it.
Way too many.
No, let's
Yeah, go edit that one. Okay.
too many
I know.
together.
Yeah.
Together.
Love you too.
Thank you, Sally.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, so cute. I love this. Oh,
Oh, that's
my entire water, you guys.
I know. We are
Thirsty.
hydrated.
Okay, let's see what time it is.